Daniel Carter woke up to silence. Not the normal quiet of early morning. Not the soft stillness before the city began to move. This silence felt different. It felt heavy. It pressed against his chest and made it hard to breathe. He turned his head toward the other side of the bed. Empty. The sheets were cold. Perfectly flat. No sign that anyone had slept there. "Emily," he called softly. No answer. He sat up quickly. His heart began to beat faster, though he didn't know why. Maybe she had woken up early. Maybe she was in the kitchen. Maybe she went for a walk. He stood and walked toward the bathroom. The door was open. The lights were off. Her toothbrush was gone. Now his chest tightened. Daniel moved faster. He walked into the hallway and opened the bedroom closet. Half of it was empty. No dresses. No shoes. No perfume bottles lined neatly on the shelf. The space where her clothes once hung now looked like a blank wall in a house that was never lived in. His breathing turned uneven. "This doesn't make sense," he whispered to himself. He rushed downstairs. The living room felt strange. Too clean. Too still. Then he noticed something that made his stomach drop. The wedding photo that once hung above the fireplace was gone. Only a small square of lighter paint remained where the frame had been. Daniel stared at that empty space for a long moment. His mind refused to understand what his eyes were seeing. He grabbed his phone and dialed her number. Switched off. He tried again. Switched off. His hands began to shake. That was when he saw it. A single white envelope placed neatly on the dining table. His name written on it in her handwriting. Daniel walked toward it slowly, as if the paper itself might explode. He opened it. Inside was one short sentence. "I hope she gives you the freedom you wanted." Nothing more. No anger. No tears. No explanation. Just that. Daniel felt the ground shift beneath him. She hadn't left for a few days. She hadn't gone to her mother's house. She hadn't taken space to think. She was gone. Completely gone. And for the first time since choosing the other woman, Daniel Carter felt something he had not expected. Fear. Years ago, Daniel Carter was not the confident and successful man people saw today. He was just a young man with big dreams and an empty bank account. That was when he met Emily. They met at a small marketing firm where both of them worked long hours for small salaries. Daniel was ambitious but impatient. Emily was calm, practical, and quietly strong. She believed in him even when he doubted himself. Back then, they used to share simple dinners and talk about their future in their tiny apartment. Emily would stay up late helping him prepare presentations. When his business idea failed the first time, she was the one who held his hand and said, "Try again." She supported him emotionally and financially when needed. She believed in his vision before anyone else did. Slowly, his hard work began to pay off. His company started growing. More clients. Bigger projects. More money. Success came faster than he expected. At first, nothing seemed different. But change does not always happen loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly, like a shadow. Daniel started coming home late. Meetings turned into dinners. Dinners turned into late-night drinks. He spent more time on his phone than talking to Emily. Conversations became shorter. Laughter became rare. And without noticing, gratitude turned into pride. The man who once needed her support slowly became a man who believed he no longer needed anyone at all. Daniel met Sophia at a business conference in the city. She was everything that caught attention the moment she walked into a room: glamorous, confident, and bold. She spoke with certainty, laughed freely, and looked at Daniel as if he were the most important man in the world. That look stayed in his mind long after the event ended. Sophia admired his success openly. She praised his ideas, called him brilliant, and listened closely when he spoke. Around her, he felt powerful. He felt young again. He felt seen in a way that excited him. It started with simple messages. "Great meeting today. You inspire me." Soon, messages turned into long conversations late at night. Then came private lunch meetings. Then coffee turned into dinners. At home, Daniel began making excuses. Important client meeting. Late presentation. Business dinner. Emily noticed the distance, but Daniel avoided her questions. What began as emotional attention slowly crossed a line. The connection deepened. Boundaries disappeared. The secret meetings were no longer innocent. Daniel told himself stories to quiet his guilt. I deserve happiness. My wife doesn't understand me anymore. This is freedom. Each excuse made it easier to step further away from his marriage. What he called freedom was really escape. But he refused to see that. And by the time he realized how far he had gone, turning back no longer felt simple. Emily did not find out by accident. One evening, while Daniel was in the shower, his phone lit up on the bedside table. A message appeared on the screen. I miss last night already. Emily did not need to read the name. Her heart already knew. When Daniel walked back into the room, he saw her sitting on the edge of the bed, holding his phone. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. Who is she? She asked quietly. There was no screaming. No tears. Just calm silence. Daniel froze for a moment. Then something inside him hardened. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was ego. Maybe it was fear of admitting guilt. It's not what you think, he began. But even he did not believe that. Emily looked at him without blinking. Just tell me the truth. And for the first time, he did. There's someone else. The words hung in the air like smoke. She nodded slowly, as if she had been preparing herself for this answer. Daniel crossed his arms, defensive. I want something different, he said. I feel alive with her. Things haven't been the same between us. Emily inhaled deeply, but her voice did not shake. Alive, she repeated softly. So our years together feel like death to you. He said nothing. After a long silence, she stood up. I hope she gives you everything you think I couldn't. That night, while Daniel slept in another room, Emily packed her belongings quietly. And before sunrise, she walked out of the house without looking back. Within a week, Daniel moved into Sophia's modern apartment in the center of the city. The place was stylish and full of life, just like her. Large windows, loud music, expensive furniture. It felt exciting. At first, everything was thrilling. They went to parties almost every weekend. People admired them as a powerful, attractive couple. They traveled to luxury resorts. They posted smiling photos. Sophia held his hand in public and made him feel chosen. Daniel told himself he had made the right decision. This was the freedom he wanted. No questions. No responsibilities. No emotional weight. But slowly, small cracks began to appear. Sophia loved attention. She loved being seen with him. She enjoyed his success, his money, and the doors his name could open. She encouraged expensive shopping, exclusive events, and constant upgrades. When Daniel felt stressed from work and tried to talk about it, she changed the subject. Don't bring negative energy, she would say. If he cancelled a dinner because of work, she became irritated. You promised, she would remind him coldly. Daniel started noticing something uncomfortable. There was passion, yes. But there was no comfort. No quiet understanding. No deep support. If he was tired, she called him boring. If he was worried, she called him weak. There was excitement in the air, but no peace in his heart. The home felt beautiful, but it did not feel safe. And slowly, the freedom he had chosen began to feel strangely empty. One night, after another argument with Sophia, Daniel sat alone on the balcony. The city lights looked beautiful, but he felt nothing inside. For the first time since Emily left, he truly wanted to hear her voice. He picked up his phone and dialed her number. The number you have dialed is not in service. He frowned and tried again. Same message. His chest tightened. The next morning, he drove to the house he once shared with her. But when he reached the street, he slowed down in confusion. There was a large sign in front of the house. Sold. The curtains were different. The garden looked changed. A stranger opened the front door and looked at him with curiosity. Can I help you? The man asked politely. Daniel couldn't speak for a moment. The previous owner, Emily Carter. The man shook his head. We bought this place 2 months ago. 2 months. Daniel stepped back as if someone had pushed him. He searched for her online. Her social media accounts were gone. No photos. No updates. Nothing. He called mutual friends. Some did not answer. Others said they did not know where she was. Their voices sounded distant, careful. It was as if she had erased herself from the world he knew. And then the realization hit him harder than anything else. She didn't fight for him. She didn't beg him to stay. She didn't try to compete. She chose herself. And she walked away without looking back. After Emily disappeared, Daniel's nights became longer and colder. Sometimes, he sat alone and remembered small moments he once ignored. The way Emily used to wake up early and make coffee for him before work, even when he did not ask. The way she would quietly stand beside him during his difficult days without forcing him to talk. The way she celebrated his small victories as if they were big achievements. She was never loud. Never demanding. But her love was steady and strong. Daniel compared it with Sophia. Sophia loved expensive restaurants, designer clothes, and public attention. She wanted luxury and status. But when Daniel was tired or stressed, she did not care. Love was replaced by convenience. One day, Sophia told him she was leaving. She said she met someone richer, someone who could give her the lifestyle she wanted. She did not look sad. She simply packed her things and left. Daniel watched her go without speaking. He did not feel heartbreak this time. Only a deep, heavy emptiness. He realized something painful. The woman he left was the one who loved him without conditions. And the woman he chose only loved what he could give. Now he was alone in a big apartment that once felt exciting but slowly turned silent like an abandoned dream. Years later, Daniel returned to the old house where he and Emily once lived. The house was still standing, but it looked forgotten. The garden was overgrown. Dust covered the windows. The air inside smelled like time that had stopped moving. He walked slowly into the living room. His eyes went to the wall above the fireplace. The place where their wedding photo once hung. The square mark on the wall was still slightly lighter than the rest. Like a memory that refused to disappear. Daniel stood there for a long time. He finally understood something he had refused to see before. He thought he was living in a prison when he was with Emily. But the truth was different. He was not trapped. He walked away from home by himself. Freedom without love is just loneliness. The words echoed inside his mind like a painful prayer. He closed his eyes and whispered the truth he should have known years ago. He lost the only woman who truly loved him. But by the time he understood it, Emily was already gone forever. Daniel Carter's story became a silent lesson that people talked about only in whispers. Life did not punish him with loud tragedy or public shame. Instead, it gave him something harder to carry. Loneliness wrapped inside success. He learned that love is not always about excitement or passion. Sometimes, it lives in small things. In morning coffee. In quiet support during hard days. In someone who stays even when life becomes difficult. Daniel once believed that freedom meant escaping responsibility and searching for something more beautiful outside his marriage. But he understood too late that loyalty is not a cage. It is the foundation of trust and peace. He also learned that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Sometimes it only looks greener because we are standing far away from the garden we left behind. Success, money, and temporary excitement cannot replace true emotional connection. Daniel had everything the world calls success, but inside his heart lived the regret of a man who realized his mistake after losing what truly mattered. He spent the rest of his life remembering Emily in silence. Because by the time he understood what freedom really meant, she was already gone forever.